ليتنا يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فلنفوز فوزا عظيما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
قال الله تعالى في كتاب الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذا جاءك الذين يؤمنون بآياتنا فقل سلام عليكم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Holy Quran, when the believers come to you, then you say to them, peace be upon you. Give them salam. Say As-Salamu Alaykum. During the rest of these nights of Muharram, inshallah, I want to start out with riwayat from Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and we'll discuss that riwayat and some things around it. So tonight, the riwayat from Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he says, there are 70 benefits for giving the salam. 69 are given to the one who offers the greeting first. He initiates the salam. And then one is for the one who responds to that salam. And we often think of this salam, when we say As-Salamu Alaykum, we think it merely translates as hello or hi or something like this. But this greeting is much more than that. It's a method that was prescribed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to greet each other. Allah says in the Quran, Surah Nisa, ayah 86, answer a greeting in kinder words than those said to you in the greeting, or at least of the same way. Allah keeps account of all things. And this is also the greeting that we find in Jannah. Allah mentions in Quran, Surah 39, ayah 73. The pious ones who will be led to paradise in large groups. Its gates will be open to them. They are brought nearby, and its keepers will say, welcome, Salamu Alaykum. Enter the gates of paradise to live in there forever. So this giving of greeting, giving of salam, it has a lot of thawab, a lot of rewards. As we said that Imam Hussein alayhi salam said there are 70 benefits in giving salam. The first one gets 69, the one who replied, he gets 1. So giving the greeting has a lot of reward. In Al-Mahassan by Barqi, it's narrated that Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said to say, Bismillah when you enter your room, so the shaitan will leave. And when you enter your house, to say salam, to give greetings, so that the barakah, that the blessings descend in your house. When you walk in your door and you see your family, you say As-Salamu Alaykum, barakah is coming down in your house at that time. And he said the angels, due to that, will get accustomed to the residents of your house. The angels become familiar with your household. So we should strive to be the first one to give salam to someone else. Oftentimes we find dispute between two people. They are mad at each other, and unfortunately, they say, I'm going to wait until that person comes to me and gives salam. I'm not going to give him salam. He needs to come to me and give salam. Unfortunately, there are people and even relatives who have not spoken in years. They haven't spoken in even decades. I have seen some people keeping a score of it, that I have not talked to that person in 30 years, and they are proud of that because of their pride is interfering with them giving salam to one another when there's so much benefit and thawab in giving salam. Giving salam, it builds friendship, the bonds of friendship. It strengthens our ties as a community. When we see each other, we give salam to each other. We'll feel more open with each other, and we will behave like family members within our communities when we greet one another wholeheartedly from our heart. You know, after all, we are one big family of believers. Doesn't matter where we are coming from. We're coming from Pakistan, we're coming from Iran, we're coming from Iraq, Lebanon, all over the world, America, everywhere. We are all together here for the walayat of Ali ibn Abi Talib.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
So we have to strive to get closer to each other as a family. We shouldn't be like a strange family. We should be close with each other. So what about those people who wrong us so much? You know, it's unbearable for us. We cannot even tolerate what they have done. Those people who really push our buttons, you know, as we say, they get on our last good nerve. What do we do with those people, you know? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
He told Abu Dhar, he said, Ya Abu Dhar, don't break up with your religious brothers, since it's not proper to do that. Avoid it. But if you're forced to do it, don't let it go past 3 days. Since whoever dies within those 3 days, while he is not on speaking terms with his believing brother, he is deserving of Jahannam. SubhanAllah. How serious is that? And we let it go for a long time, unfortunately. So, from this riwayat, we see the importance and the great magnitude of severing ties with our religious brothers and sisters in faith. Those who break the relationship between each other, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is saying they are deserving of the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're counted amongst the people of hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from this. We have to be forgiving. We have to accept our brother's apology. And it takes a lot of courage for someone to muster up and come and admit that they are wrong, that they made a mistake. And they come to you and they admit their mistake and they ask you to forgive them. We have to honor this and we have to accept their apology for the sake of Allah. This is haqqul mu'min ala mu'min, the right of believer on the other believer. We have to accept their apologies. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
He said, if your Muslim brother apologizes to you and you don't accept his apology, Allah will establish a more harmful companion for you. So you thought that person was bad, someone else worse is going to come if we don't accept their apology. And we should be the first one, as we say, to be the bigger man, you know, put our pride aside and go and apologize when we have done something wrong. Imam Ali alayhi salam,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
bear yourself towards your brother in such a way that if he disregards kinship with you, you keep it. When he turns away from you, be kind to him and get closer to him. When he withholds from you, then spend for him. When he goes away, approach him. When he is harsh to you, be lenient to him. When he commits wrong, think of an excuse for it. So much so that you are like a slave to him, and he is the master over you. But take care, he says, don't do it with just anyone inappropriately, and that you should not behave with someone who doesn't deserve it. Help your brother in any case and go with him wherever he goes, and never retaliate against him, even if he throws dust in your mouth. SubhanAllah. You know, if we look at to what extent that we have to regard our brother and sister in faith, things that we owe each other. Imagine if we just implemented this one riwayat from Amir al-Mu'mineen. We have to stop only reading these riwayat. We have to implement them in our life. When you read riwayat about Lubayt alayhi salam, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow you to use that riwayat in your daily life. This will create harmony between each other if we follow just this one riwayat, and it'll help us grow, thrive as a community built on love, built on respect.
MashaAllah.
Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
He said, Ya Ali, may I inform you of the most evilest of people, the worst people. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, yes, Rasulullah. He said, they are the people who never forgive and they never overlook. You do something, they hold it against you for the rest of your life. A lot of times we throw the person aside who commits a sin. He made a mistake, he did something wrong. We throw him to the side. And we don't think of all the sins that we have done, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has covered from other people. We should never slam the door on someone because of their past. And we have to be welcoming to them and wish that they reform in the way we see how Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he welcomed Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. He made a mistake. He held his Imam and he held Imam Hussein in Charbonneau. And he ended up dying because of being held there. Nothing anyone else can do can be like this. So we have, and Imam Hussein alayhi salam welcomed him, forgave him, accepted him. So if someone does something against us, we should be more than welcoming to them and forgive them. There's a very beautiful story about a poet from for Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. He was companion of Imam Sadiq.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
His name was Himyari. He was battling with himself, doing jihad al-nafs. He was fighting his urge to drink wine. He used to drink alcohol. He was companion of Imam, but he used to do mistakes. He drank alcohol. And sometimes his desire, it would overpower him. He didn't want to sin against Allah, but his desire sometimes would overcome him and he would make mistakes. So he's battling with this thing. One day it got the best of him. So Himyari was walking in the streets of Medina, and he had a pitcher with him, one of these clay pitchers, and he had filled it with wine. Then he ran into who? While he was walking in the streets of Medina. He walked and he saw Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He imagined the stress of that moment, you know. He said, Ya Himyari, what do you have in that pitcher? Perhaps it was hot, Imam was thirsty. Imagine you have wine in this pitcher. Himyari, he is so embarrassed, he doesn't know what to say, so he's making it worse. He said, Yabna Rasulullah is milk. Now he's lied to the Imam. Then the Imam said, pour a little bit of it in my palm. Oh, imagine that, you know, being in that position, how he must have been sweating bullets, you know. Then he poured it into the palm of the Imam. Imagine the stress of pouring that, and you know that it is wine, and you're pouring najasa into the hand of Imam. When he poured it, it was milk. Subhanallah. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he said, he told him, who is the Imam of your time? Himyari, he told him, the one who changed wine into milk. Subhanallah.
Subhanallah.
Imam greeted him. He gave him a second chance. He didn't chastise him, even though all along he knew what he had in that pitcher. He was forgiven. He helped him return back to the path of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. And this is how we have to be with each other. We have to be forgiving. We shouldn't be quick to excommunicate someone or break relations with them just, you know, because they have done something wrong. We have to offer second chances to those people who have made mistakes. Imam Hassan al-Askari,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
He said, the best of your brothers is the one who forgets your sin and he remembers and mentions the favor that you did to him. He doesn't remember all of the bad things that have happened. And we wonder at times, you know, how can we get closer to each other? How can we build a better community? How do we deal with people where it's a challenging task to deal with people? Some people find it very hard to be social with other people. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he gave us the answer to all of this. He said, I swear by the Lord who has control over my life that you will not enter Jannah until you believe. And you will not believe until you love each other. Do you want me to tell you how to help to love each other? He says, establish saying As-Salamu Alaykum and greeting each other. Whenever you meet one of your believing brothers, greet him and shake hands with him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala respects the angels for greeting, and you should follow the angels in this respect. You see, this is the key to go, one of the keys to go to Jannah. We have to believe. We don't believe till we love each other, and when we love each other, we give each other salam. So one of the ways is to have personal connections with people, and this is established encouraged by shaking hands with one another. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
He said, greet and shake hands when you meet each other and seek Allah's forgiveness when you leave each other. Shake hands with each other because it removes malice from the hearts. We have other riwayat that when you're shaking hands, the sins fall like the leaves are falling from the tree when you are shaking hands with mu'min. Also, we have from our sixth Imam, he said, shaking hands is the perfect greeting of the resident. You all are living here, shaking hands. And embracement, giving someone a hug, is the greeting of the traveler. Shaking hands with a believer has 1,000 thawab. When two men shake hands, the reward of the one who initiates the handshake is more than the other one. Also know that due to the handshaking, all of the sins will be eliminated and no sin will remain. SubhanAllah, Allah made it easy for us. So many ways to get forgiveness. Something as simple as shaking your brother's hand. And we see that Rasulullah and Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam encourage greetings, and they encourage shaking hands, encourage hugging one another. This builds the bond of friendship and brotherhood. Imam Hussein alayhi
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
He said the true stingy one is the one who refrains from greeting. This greeting is regarding talking to one another, but it also has another meaning, which means those who don't greet Rasulullah when they hear his name mentioned. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, he said he warns not to disconnect people from his progeny, from Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. One way people do this is that they accept Rasulullah, but they reject his family, and they don't give them the rightful position that Ahlul Bayt deserve in their life. This is one way of being stingy, not greeting. Another way is to disconnect them when they say salawat. They disconnect from Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. The Prophet said, when one of you sends blessings on me, make sure it is not batra, meaning disconnecting me from my family.
Yeah.
So when we see it is incorrect to say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you're only giving salam to Rasulullah, but you forgot Ahlul Bayt. This is incorrect. Rasulullah said, don't do this. However, we find a lot of people doing this, unfortunately. Rather, we should say sallallahu alayhi wa alihi or sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, some variation of this, or Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. All of these include Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. It is a form of dua, giving salam. It's a form of dua, and you're asking Allah to send peace and blessings on them. We have Sunni hadith from Musnad ibn Ahmad, volume 4, page 104. We find that about salawat, that he says, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi says, Man salla ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad wajabat lahu shafa'ati. Whoever sends blessings on Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, it is wajib for my intercession for them. Only us giving salawat on Rasulullah, it is wajib on him now that he will have to intercede for us. Sallallahu ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
There's so many rewards for doing salawat on Rasulullah. One of those is that he will be forgiven all of his sins like a newborn baby. Nothing. It will be nothing on him. So easy for us. Just doing salawat, we get all of these tawab. There are so many rewards that we cannot even count them. We cannot even understand the tawab of salawat. Sheikh Abu Fatu al-Razi, he quoted Rasulullah saying, during Mi'raj, when I reached the heavens, I saw an angel having 1,000 hands. Each hand had 1,000 fingers. He was counting with his fingers. I asked Jibreel about his name, his function, his job, what is he doing? Jibreel said that he is an angel in charge of counting the drops of the water that fall down from the skies to the ground. I asked Jibreel, did he really know all of those drops that had fallen from the sky down to the ground? Since Allah created the entire earth, the angel answered, Ya Rasulullah, by the one who sent you in truth as a prophet to creation, I know the number of the raindrops that fall from the sky to the earth, all of it. I know those that fall in the sea. I know those that fall in the desert. in the inhabited areas, on the farms, in the salty lands, and in the grave sites. I know all of these. The angel told Rasulullah. Then Rasulullah said, I was amazed at his intellect, his memorization, his calculation. How can he do all of that? Then the angel said to him, Ya Rasulullah, but despite with all of these hands, 1,000 fingers, this memory, this aql, this intellect that Allah has given me, I'm unable to count one thing. So I said to him, what could that be? Rasulullah asked him, what is it? He said, if some members from your ummah, they gather together, like we are gathered here tonight, and they mention your name, and they send salawat on you, I am unable to calculate how many thawab they will receive from them.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. MashaAllah.
So this greeting of giving salam to each other has such a significance that we shouldn't even speak to each other without initiating salam first. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, don't reply to a person who begins talking to you without giving you salam. We have to give salam to each other. And greetings hold such an importance in Islam that you must reply to the salam even while you are praying and you are talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Someone give you salam, you still have to reply. You are talking to Allah in salat. Someone comes and greets you, you still have to respond to their salam. We see in Rasulullah from Sayyid Sistani, Hafidhullah, he says a person offering salat should not greet anyone. Meaning you are making salat. You cannot give salam to someone if they come in. But if that person comes in and they say As-Salamu Alaykum, then you have to reply to their salam, but in the same way that they gave you the salam. If they said Salamu Alaykum, you say Salamu Alaykum. They say As-Salamu Alaykum, you say As-Salamu Alaykum. The same exact way without adding anything to it, like wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh or any of this. You reply in the same exact way. So he said, if a person does not, while they're in the salah, if they don't respond to the salam, their salah is still okay. It is still in order. They don't need to remake it. It's not battered. But if he didn't reply to the salam, it is counted as a sin from him. Some mistake that he has done, something wrong. So we see the importance of that. We are talking to Allah, but we have to stop and give salam to someone. Allah gives such importance to saying salam. So it is much more than someone thinking, we are just saying hello or we are saying hi. Actually, this greeting is a dua from one person to the other person, wishing peace and security and mercy and barakat, all of these things on the other person. We are praying for their well-being. We want them to be okay. And this shows our genuine concern and love for the other person. It shows that we truly care for the success in this dunya and the akhirah. So we have to take out time from our busy life and give greetings to our family members, our friends, our neighbors, our community members. Let's think of those people that we haven't spoken to in quite some time. Those people, maybe we holding a grudge against them, or they are holding a grudge against us, Let's think about those people and go to them and initiate salam to them. Check on them. See how they are doing. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant peace and security and allow our hearts all to grow closer together as a community united under the banner of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
This greeting, it also uplifts the spirit of the person who is sad. He is alone. He just wants someone to talk to him. When he hears the salam from someone, it makes him feel good. And we have riwayat from our sixth Imam. He says the reward for eliminating the cause of a Muslim sorrow is more than the reward for praying and fasting. And he said this is the best way to approach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll give you an example. As you know, I'm working with Second Chance Books, a program I made for prisoners for the last 10 years or so. These guys, they are Muslims. They are in the prison. They maybe are there for 10, 15, 20, 30 years they have been there. Every day someone is coming, the correctional officer, and they bring a big stack of mail from the mail room, and then everyone gathers around and they are calling everybody's name. So-and-so, fulan, 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 they're handing out the mail. This guy who has been there for 15 years, his family doesn't write him anymore. His kids forgot about him. His friends are long gone. He has no one. He hasn't gotten mail in years and years. Every day, he is still going down there. He is hoping maybe someone remember me, someone is thinking of me and wrote me a letter, maybe. So one initiative that we are doing is we are making cards for Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Qadir, Eid al-Adha, and we designed a postcard and we put a message in it to show that the community outside is caring about you, making dua for you, and these things, we are sending them those cards. Imagine how happy that will make that person feel after 15 years. Now he is coming and someone wrote him from the outside. The Muslim community remembered him, thought about him, just giving salam to him. How much that would make him feel good. So this giving salam, it makes someone feel they are part of something. Giving salam to someone who is left alone, who is sad, it reminds me of the story of the granddaughters of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. After the battle of Charbonneau, when they had come to Sham, one of the companions of the Prophet, Sahal ibn Sa'ad, he said, once I traveled for ziyarah to Bayt al-Muqaddas. And on the way there, when I reached Sham, I saw the city, it is all decorated. People everywhere, they are celebrating. The women are playing tambourines, they are playing drums. It looks like a big party is going on. I asked, do we have some extra Eid that we don't know about? What is this feast? This is what the companion asked. They said to him, no, but you seem to be a Beidun, one of those people maybe that living in the desert. You don't know what is happening. So he said, no, I am Sahal ibn Sa'ad, I am Sahaba of Rasulullah. They said, our king has achieved victory today, and we are celebrating. He said, what victory did Yazid do, you know? So I asked, he said, the people of Sham told me that there is a Kharaji man, one who left outside of Islam, basically. Kharaji means he left. And he made an uprising against our chiefs, and then he was killed. So I said, the companion says, what is the name of that person? He said, Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. Subhanallah. He said, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. You talking about Hussein, the son of the daughter of Rasulullah, the son of Fatima Zahra? They said, yes. He said, I recited the verse, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So all this celebration is for the murder of the grandson of Rasulullah? This is what he told the people of Sham. He said, aren't you ashamed of murdering the grandson of Rasulullah and then accusing him of being outside of religion? A man said, should be quiet, just keep quiet. These tyrants, they will kill you. At this moment, he saw an army coming from the big gate, accompanying, beating the drums. They were coming through the gate, and behind them, a severed head on top of the spear. Celebrations erupted when they saw the head of Abu Abdullah. When I looked at the holy head, I noticed that Nur was coming out of this face. He said, I started slapping my face, I started crying in grief, I wept. He said, I said, oh, regret on these bodies that lie in a strange land away from their hometown. What a pity these martyrs, they didn't get kaffans, they didn't get ghusl. Oh, tragic despair on this face which is smeared with dust. Pity on the gray hair that is dyed in blood. Ya Rasulullah, alas, if you were present today in Damascus and seen the severed head of your grandson taken on the top of a spear through the city, if you had been present, you would have seen the ladies of your family with their heads exposed. If Ali ibn Abi Talib had been present, he would have, what would he think about the condition that his family is in? When they saw me crying, some of the Syrians also began to cry, while the majority, they kept celebrating this. He says, I saw the ladies of Rasulullah mounted on camels. Their heads were without chador. Each lady was wailing, Wa Muhammada, wa Aliya, wa Hasana, wa Husayna. Come and see what befell your veiled ladies. Ya Rasulullah, your daughters were taken as captives, and they were dealt with like non-Muslims. Today your daughters are wailing in the streets, in the city roads, crying in grief of your son Hussein. Hussein, whose neck was slaughtered, and his garments and his clothes were stolen. Sahal ibn Sa'ad, he says, I went to the camel the lady was mounted on. He said, As-Salamu Alaykum, Ya Ahlul Bayt Muhammad wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The lady said, O servant of Allah, no one has given us salam since the day my brother was killed and we became prisoners. Who are you? He said, my lady, my name is Sahal ibn Sa'ad, and I'm the companion of your grandfather, Rasulullah. She said, companion of my grandfather, see how the Ummah has treated us now. Those oppressors have destroyed our families. They martyred my brother Imam Hussein. After his martyrdom, they took us as captives. They dragged us from place to place when we don't even have chador on our heads. I said, indeed, this injustice is unbearable for your grandfather and for your father Ali ibn Abi Talib. Then he went to Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, and he said, As-Salamu Alaykum, Ya Zayn al-Abidin. Imam Zayn al-Abidin told him to say the salam again. He said, As-Salamu Alaykum, Ya Imam. Then once again, he said, As-Salamu Alaykum. And then he asked, why are you asking me to repeat this salam to you? He said that since my father, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, had been killed, he hadn't heard salam from anyone. Ya Allah. This companion of Rasulullah asked him, is there anything that I can do for you? The Imam said to the elderly man, there's only one thing. Do you see the spear with the head of my father, Abu Abdullah, on that spear? Tell the soldiers to move that spear to the front of this procession so that the people look at the head of Imam Hussein and not the women of Ahlul Bayt. خدم الله أجورنا وأجوركم يا أيها المؤمنون بالمصابنا بمصيبة الحسين عليه السلام لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العليم. We recall a time when Imam Hussein was sent thousands and thousands of letters giving him salam, inviting him to Kufa, to lead them, to guide them. Yet how did they treat Imam Hussein alayhi salam when he arrived? Before he started his journey, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he sent Muslim ibn Aqil to the people of Kufa. I can picture a lonely, abandoned Muslim ibn Aqil wandering the streets of Kufa, wondering where to go. Just yesterday, everyone was competing with each other just to get a look at him, welcoming him with open arms, competing just to see Muslim ibn Aqil, the ambassador of Imam Hussein. But now they have left Muslim all alone in Kufa. The city was becoming dark and he could hear the hooves of the horses nearby. The enemy soldiers were after Muslim ibn Aqil. He covered his head with his cloak, hoping that he wouldn't be recognized. There was a curfew in the city, but where could Muslim go in this town that betrayed him? He was exhausted, so not knowing what to do, he went and sat on someone's doorstep. An old lady came outside with a candle. She asked, oh son, what are you doing here? He asked for some water and she gave him water. Afterwards she said, oh my son, why don't you return to your house? Don't you realize that your wife and your children, they must be worried, sick about you? Don't you have a house with wife and children? A lump came into the throat of Muslim when his tears filled his eyes when he thought about his wife, he thought about his family, he thought about his home. He said, good lady, I do have a house, but it is far away. My wife and young daughters are there, but my sons are here in Kufa. Maybe they will wait for me forever. In this unfriendly town, I have no home. I have no one I can turn to for shelter. She asked him, where did you come from? He said, I am from the city of Rasulullah. I have become a guest invited by these people of Kufa. Thousands and thousands had welcomed me. Now there is not one single person who will let me into their home. She raised the candle closer to his face. Once she saw him clearly, she said, how didn't I recognize you? When your words, your accent, your demeanor all had the stamp of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. She started crying. She said, how will I face Fatima Zahra on the day of judgment when she'll ask me, thou my Hussein's emissary came to you without friends, without shelter, but you turned him away. What reply will I give Fatima Zahra? The least I can let you do is at least stay here in my house till you can escape from this cursed city. So asked Muslim to remain in one room of the house. She gave him some food and water, but how can he eat or drink in a night like this? He didn't want any food. He was wondering what would happen to his small children when they found them. So he decided to spend that night making salat. He had a feeling that this would be his last night. The lady told Muslim that her son worked in an army, but he was a good Shia. She would ask his help when he came home. Her son came home and told his mother that they were searching for Muslim. She couldn't believe what her son was telling her. She started to admonish her son, but he tricked her into thinking he was only pretending. His mother believed him, made him take an oath on his religion, not to reveal what she was about to tell him. So he swore by his faith, and she told him that Muslim was actually in their house. Later that night, this cursed son of hers snuck out of the house and went to said he would go search for the sons of Muslim ibn Aqil to bring them back to their father. While in reality, he was going to claim his prize with Ibn Ziyad for capturing Muslim. Accompanied by the soldiers, this traitor returned to the house of his mother for Muslim's arrest. Muslim at that time, he was making salat. He heard the hooves of the horses. He knew that the soldiers had come for him. He grabbed his sword and he rushed out of the house. This elderly lady, the servant of Zahra, she stood in the doorway and she said, oh Muslim, I cannot allow you to go outside of this house. I didn't betray you. Trust me, it was my son who did it. This thought would never cross my mind. I won't let these soldiers enter my house unless they kill me first. Muslim knew that she was sincere. He said, as your guest, I can't allow you to be killed on my behalf. Your house will be destroyed because of me. Let me go out and defend myself. The soldiers were surprised when they saw Muslim entering out of the door like a lion. He fought them one by one in this narrow alleyway. They knew they couldn't win, so they dug a hole and covered it as a trap for Muslim. They started throwing stones at Muslim. From the rooftops, they shot arrows at Muslim. They rained fire down on Muslim until he backed up and then he fell into that hole that they had dug for him. Muslim started losing blood and he ended up fainting in this hole. When he woke up, he found himself a prisoner. His wounds made him thirsty, but if he only knew the thirst of Imam Hussein, how he would face Al-Atash, Al-Atash. Before being brought to the court of Ubaydullah, Muslim was paraded through the streets of Kufa. He had heavy chains on him. The people of Kufa, only a few days earlier, they were competing to look at Muslim. Now they were watching him from their windows like he was a stranger. They were even throwing stones at Muslim ibn Aqil. When Muslim was brought before Ubaydullah, he stood up with honor, with dignity. The governor, in order to seem honorable and generous in the eyes of the people, he told them, according to the age-old custom of the Arabs, I want you to mention your last desire before you are beheaded, so I can fulfill that desire. He had thought perhaps Muslim might ask about the lives of his two young sons wandering the streets of Kufa, to pardon them if they were captured. Muslim only had one thing on his mind, and that was the safety of Abu Abdullah, the safety of Imam Hussein. Like a drowning man, he reaches out for his last hope to be rescued. Muslim decided, this is my only chance. He immediately replied, Ubaydullah, if you are true to your word, fulfill my last message and send a message to my master Imam Hussein, telling him to go back to Medina. Forget about this cursed city of Kufa. Ubaydullah could never accept this, so he ordered his executioners to take Muslim ibn Aqil to the top of the government house to behead him for all of the people of Kufa to see. When the sword of the executioner was swaying over the head of Muslim, his last thoughts were with his master Imam Hussein. His only regret was that he couldn't send the message to Imam Hussein to warn him. They severed the blessed head of Muslim ibn Aqil. Then they threw the body of Muslim off of the rooftop down to the streets of Kufa. How many bones of Muslim must have broken when it hit the ground? As if this wasn't enough for them, then they ordered that they take his head and send it to Yazid. As for his body, what did they do with his body? They didn't bury it. They refused to bury the body of Muslim. Instead, they crucified it upside down for all of the people to see. Where did they take the body of Muslim? They took his body to the place where the garbage is dumped. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. As-Salamu Alaykum ya Aba Abdullah. وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزياراتكم. All together, As-Salamu على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين.
يا حسين يا حسين يا